Hello and welcome to Coach's Decision, a weekly talk show that covers sports topics from the Bay Area and beyond. I promise some Bay Area today. I am joined here today in the lovely KSCO studios by my co-host, a man who couldn't score 5 goals against a drunk 8-year-old on stilts, Joaquin Nagel.
And certainly no Polish rifle.
Polish rifle? Is that his nickname?
No, that's not his nickname. It's just he's Polish.
Okay.
Jaworski, Lewandowski, it's all the same.
We're going to talk about Lewandowski later in the show, who scored 5 goals today. That's going to be interesting, especially because of my Polish ancestry. So that's going to be interesting. Also on tonight's show, we will talk about an amazing soccer performance that we already mentioned, some ugly football performances, and Daniel Zarchi and I mourn the loss of the great Yogi Berra. You don't want to miss that. I love Yogi Berra so much. Okay, top of the show. Let's start it off. The Dallas Cowboys are in flux right now. They are 2-0, and somehow it's the worst 2-0 you've ever seen. They're without their star wide receiver, Dez Bryant, for 10 more weeks. Now they're without Tony Romo for 8 weeks, placed on the pullback injured reserve. So he's out at least 8 weeks, could come back after that. What's up, man? They now have Matt Castle that they traded for. They added Kellen Moore. They have 3 quarterbacks, but their top quarterback is Brandon Weeden. Do the playoffs start to fade already, even though they're 2-0?
Do you think the Cowboys would give up their place for the Giants? Is the Giants 0-2 as they're better than the Cowboys 2-0?
That's the thing to consider. I mean, definitely the Washington Redskins 1-1 is probably better, and they're probably in better shape, especially with how good their defenses look. That's been the story this week. Is the NFC East completely up for grabs now? Can the 0-2 teams like the Eagles and Giants win this division? How many games can Brandon Weeden win in 8 weeks? That's a real question.
2?
That's terrible.
Right? He's awful. And when you're trading for Matt Castle as your backup and he's as bad as your starter, it's not really insurance, you know?
I expect Matt Castle to be starting within 2 weeks. Maybe not this game, maybe not the next. I think Matt Castle will be your starter, and I don't think that's the worst thing. I think he's better than Brandon Weeden. I don't think he can have a Kyle Orton-like impact where Orton kind of floated around and flashed competence, because I don't think he's going to do that. But that offensive line is so good, he's going to have some time.
But even if they flash the competence, they don't have the outlet valve in Dez Bryant to just throw the ball up to.
Terrence Williams is a pretty darn good receiver.
He is.
And if Jason Witten has 2 sprained ankles and a sprained knee and doesn't seem to be affected by it, that's an outlet right there. Jason Witten is everyone's security blanket.
But you just said it, 2 sprained ankles and a sprained knee. We didn't even mention that in the top of their injuries.
Yeah, but because I don't think it matters. He's just the toughest dude on the planet. I mean, he could also be exaggerating because he looked a little bit slower in week 2 than he did in week 1, But
those sort of injuries, they nag and they linger, and it means he won't be practicing full speed during the week, and he'll only be getting up for game day, and it will be hard for him to work in with the new quarterbacks. It's just, it compounds all the difficulties.
Look, Joaquin, he's only got to make it to week 12. Before the rest of the Cowboys start coming back, and then he can take some time off.
Yeah, I think I have the Washington professional football team as the leaders for the division, right? I have them as the favorites to win this division.
I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think they're on the comeback trail. They looked horrific against the Cowboys.
Awful.
They're 1 for 4 on good halves so far this year, and that's pretty bad, but I still believe.
You're a believer in Chip Kelly?
You know, I didn't. I started the season not as a believer, thinking that Sam Bradford would get hurt, DeMarco Murray would get hurt, which he did. Now he is hurt. But that might actually be a good thing. The more they have Darren Sproles out on the field, the better they are. Even Ryan Matthews has been more effective than DeMarco Murray this season. So I'm going to take the Eagles in the NFC East for the rest of the season, only because New York has looked so bad, and Washington, I think, at the end of the day, is going to be bad.
Well, New York could easily be 2-0.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, Philly could be 1-1. The Redskins could be 0-2. You know, you can make all these permutations you want. The Cowboys could be 1-1. You know, they had 1 stellar performance and 1 performance against the Giants. So this division's going to be crazy, and I think the team that stays the healthiest is probably going to win.
Do you think it's the worst division in football, or do you still give that to the AFC South?
It's still the AFC South. If the Texans could do anything...
That's a big if.
Even the Colts are 0-2. You know, they'll get better because they're going to heal, and that's actually going to transition us into our next story. The Colts and Seahawks are both 0-2. These were a lot of people's Super Bowl picks. You know, Andrew Luck was a lot of people's MVP pick. They're a combined 0-4. Russell Wilson's looked okay. Andrew Luck's looked horrific. Seattle's getting Cam Chancellor back. Which team is in better shape going forward?
Seattle, Far and away Seattle.
But that division is so difficult.
The division is difficult, but both of their losses are on the road. And one of them's to a divisional rival, yes, but the Rams are better than everyone thought. And the other is to the team that a lot of people are saying is the best team in football.
Aaron Rodgers?
Mr. Rogers in his neighborhood.
Oh, he loves God and Jesus and all things Christian.
He doesn't lose much in his neighborhood. I'll just say that.
Yeah, there's not too many quarterbacks in his neighborhood right now. But I still have to say the Colts are in better shape. They are 12-0 against the AFC South in the last 2 seasons.
Anyone could be 12-0 against the AFC South. I'm just saying,
if they replicate that again, that's an easy 6 wins. All they have to do is win a couple more games and make the playoffs.
Yeah, but Seattle doesn't lose at home in the Russell Wilson era. And so all they have to do is win their home games and then win 4 of the other 6 games, and that's 12 wins. They're in the playoffs. I think both of them are fine. I don't think either team really isn't panicking yet.
So if they win the next couple of games, Seattle, how much does Cam Chancellor get to hold out for next year?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, they miss him. It's clear that teams aren't scared to go deep against them or go over the middle against them.
They miss lots of things, though. They used to have defensive line depth that was off the hook. They were, taking out Pro Bowl caliber players and then sending in just below Pro Bowl caliber pass rushers. So they were so deep, and now their roster is more stretched. Byron Maxwell was their 5th best secondary member. The Eagles signed him to be their CB1, to be their first string cornerback, and he's been terrible, but he was great as a 5th
as a
secondary
nickelback.
Yeah, as a nickel. Don't ever utter that word on our show, please. For all the Canadians out there who love horrible rock and roll.
Oh, I wouldn't have even made that connection. They're so far away from my purview when it comes to music.
If you want to call something a dime bag, like a dime formation, Dimebag Darrell from Pantera, R.I.P., that's fine, but no Nickelback on the program.
Okay.
It's like
I'm sorry, Thomas.
Tiger Woods and Nickelback.
Those are the two.
For those of you who listen to the show.
The taboo subjects.
Yes, until Nickelback wins a major. Or Tiger Woods puts out an LP that isn't someone gargling marbles and having the same chord progression over and over, then we will not talk about those people on the show.
Okay.
Our last topic today, we're going to get into some basketball because when is training camp? Now?
Tuesday. The Warriors on Tuesday will start their training camp.
So they did something before training camp just to get started. They weren't making a big push for this thing, but they got it started. And I want your analysis. You talked about this on the morning show on Monday, but I want your further, deeper analysis into Harrison Barnes' contract offer that he got. 4 years, $64 million, which he flat turned down without hesitation. Was that the right move for Harrison?
It's the right move for Harrison Barnes. He did more than that. He also fired his agent, and he's hold on. He fired his agent, and he's looking for an agent that will take less than the standard 4% commission because he understands that negotiating with the Warriors right now, that's not very hard for him.
Because so you hire someone who's bad at their job?
No, he just needs to hire someone who's willing to take a little less. Who takes
less at jobs though? People who aren't as good.
People who aren't as good, or people who want to get their foot in the door.
That's a good point.
But anyways, that I digress. But he's currently shopping around for an agent, and he knows that this offer of 4 years, 64 is on the table. He could even just hire. This was done. I forget by whom. Oh, I'm blanking. But he could just hire lawyers to review the contract and not have to pay an agent at all.
He could just go to a notary.
Have them notarized.
He could hand it off to his dad. He could do any number of things, but they're not smart.
Yeah. But if he wants to take the 4 for 64, he knows that's on the table. He doesn't need an agent to get that. And the reason it's on the table, the reason that Harrison Barnes is being offered $16 million a year is that that's going to be the low end for a quality starter in the NBA, especially given the cap is going to skyrocket next summer.
Right. So in a couple of years, Steph Curry's contract already looks fantastic.
Oh, it's amazing.
4 for 44 for Stephen Curry is one of the best contracts we've ever seen.
But that's because at the time he had really poor ankles, and it was a wager both ways. The team was betting on Steph, and Steph was kind of betting on himself, but understanding that, his career could have been over.
Well, and so I can't break down the mid-level exceptions and using the partial exceptions and all that stuff, but I do know Klay Thompson's extension is in effect. I do know Draymond Green just got the max. Both those guys got as much money as they could. And now Harrison Barnes wants his piece.
They almost got as much money as they could. Something that the Warriors have been doing is they've been giving their players, instead of a max, kind of a fake max, a contract that starts at what the max would, but instead of having raises that are based on a percentage of the cap, they have prefixed raises because the cap is going to be so variable with all the TV money coming into the league.
And how much do those guys pay their agents?
So Harrison sees that, understands the reason the Warriors are going to offer him 4 for $64. It's because it's right around what they were paying Draymond Green going forward. But the cap's going to skyrocket. There are going to be more teams with cap space than there are good free agents next summer.
But is Harrison Barnes worth it? If he goes for something like 4 for, say, 80.
Or, if he goes for 4 for even 72 at 18 a year, that's an overpay. And I don't think he's going to get that.
Okay, gun to your head. Is Harrison Barnes a Warrior after this contract is over? Does he get extended?
Yes, he gets extended.
He gets extended. And gun to your head, is that a good thing for the Golden State Warriors?
Yes, it's a good thing for the Warriors. They need his positional versatility. And part of playing small, they say they go small and they have Draymond at the 5. Mm-hmm. Something that everyone ignores is Harrison's at the 4. Harrison's out there.
Guarding Zebo?
He was guarding Zebo in the playoffs.
Goodness.
And they're starting small against the Cavs. He's banging with Tristan Thompson.
Zebo can't guard Zebo.
Yeah, and Harrison's keeping him off the block. He's making him catch the ball 18 feet from the basket instead of really down low in the paint. Like, he's super strong. He's an athletic wing who could slash to the basket and make spot up shots. So he's also like near the tops of the league in distance traveled for a small forward.
So he runs a lot.
So he runs a lot. He's active, and that's key for the Warriors' pass and move sort of strategy. Like, that doesn't work if the guys don't have it in them to move around all the time.
Well, and I think that's the thing that Steve Kerr brought to the Warriors, and the thing that changed in Harrison Barnes' game. He was cutting on every play. He was moving around on defense on every play, and they had enough depth to give guys rest.
Yeah.
Mark Jackson's offense was very standstill. It was very traditional picks. But
yeah, he cut his post-ups off by over a third. Like,
which he didn't need post-ups.
He's terrible. He's not a good post-up player.
He didn't do it in college.
Mm-hmm.
He probably didn't do it in high school.
Not
Why would
at
you
all.
when you're that athletic? No one asked Zach LaVine to post up.
Right.
He's more athletic than Harrison Barnes, but Barnes is a slasher and a dunker and a guy who can produce a pretty good outside shot. He shot over 40% from 3 last year, which is fantastic.
He shot nearly 50% from the left corner during the regular season. And the reason he's getting those open looks is because he's moving around and he's cutting, and then when there's action away from the ball, his man loses him. Gets an open shot from the corner.
And he has 3 teammates on offense who are all playing like it's a broken video game.
Yes. Well, he's the third. It's really Steph and Clay.
Oh, the way Draymond thinks about the game and spaces the floor and moves bodies around the floor, I think he's almost cheating.
But it's great. It only works because you have a guy like Harrison who can both cut to the basket and go out and then drift out to the corner.
I mean, there was a game in that Western Conference Finals. He won the game himself.
Yes.
And that was pretty impressive when you have the Splash Brothers on your team and traditional bigs who are also very skilled. So let's transition to another guy who's sort of Harrison Barnes' ilk, a little bit different style of player. Tristan Thompson of the Cavs also is in a similar situation as Harrison Barnes. He does not want to get paid the 4-year, $80 million contract he's being offered.
Yeah, he's being offered
5 years. 5.
Yeah, he's being offered 5 for 80. But he wants 5 for 94.
94.
It's a big gap. They're really far apart. And the biggest thing here is that Tristan Thompson's agent has explicitly stated that they will sign the 1-year qualifying offer of $6.7 million to allow Tristan Thompson to become a free agent next summer.
Now, that's the thing. Why would Tristan Thompson eschew $17.5 or $18 million a season to play for under $7 million for 1 year? Is that just betting on yourself? Why would you even want to approach that as a lifestyle choice, knowing you can get hurt, knowing there's no guarantees that a contract is going to be out there the next season?
It's really that a lot of teams are going to have cap space next summer. Like,
yes,
something
but what
like
if
20 teams are going to.
His patella falls off.
He could, but he's been healthy his whole career, his whole life. He's betting on himself, and that's the sort of mentality that these guys have. And he's just saying, I understand that there's more supply in terms of salary cap space than there is demand. There's a lot. Or you could even say that there's not enough players to meet all the teams who have space.
There's lots of demand, no supply. Well, there's a lot of NBA teams, and this has come up over the years of talking about contraction and when the NBA was making less money before this big TV deal, getting the talent pool lessened so the quality of play goes up and teams are able to earn more. But yeah, you're right. Talent is really spread out across the league right now.
And look at
the Eastern Conference.
Right. And even so, right. So next summer, the 2 big free agents are going to be Al Horford and Kevin Durant. And then you have Harrison Barnes and Tristan Thompson are potentially right in that next tier, and they know teams are going to have to throw around money because the salary cap's going to jump a huge amount and there's even a salary floor that a lot of teams will be below. So Tristan Thompson knows that on the open market he can get this 5 for $94.
Well, and what he can do on offense, rebounding, because LeBron opens up a lot of things by driving to the hoop and moving around the floor, and Kyrie is also a slasher. So what happens is they draw a double team, and then this mammoth of a man who can also move bodies if they're in the way comes and gets rebounds.
And furthermore, the Cavs are sort of behind the 8 ball here because they're over the cap now. The only way that they can sign someone to a multi-year deal is if they're re-signing their own players. So if they lose Tristan Thompson, they're pretty much limited to just signing guys at the minimum. And you can't find a guy like Tristan Thompson, a promising young big man,
right,
for any sort of low dollar amount.
Well, that would force them to go small, a la the Warriors.
Yes.
Because they have their version of Andrew Bogut and Timothy Mozgov.
Right.
Do you say Timothy or do you say Timofey?
I say Timofey.
Timofey?
Timofey.
Timosil.
Timosil.
I don't remember the song they sing in Arrested Development, but Timosil was always my favorite. All right, we're going to go to some sponsor breaks right now. We're going to talk about Fanatics.com and FansEdge.com. These are 2 new sponsors. They are apparel companies. You can go through our website, coachesdecisionkSCO.com. Click through on their links. They're in every article that Producer Tory publishes. If you click through those links, buy something on FansEdge or Fanatics.com. It really helps out our show. We appreciate these new sponsors. I went on these websites the other day. Some fantastic stuff. I was looking at some Michigan State Spartans gear. They had a hoodie that I'm just dying to buy. It's under $30. We have some free shipping codes for you. Let me find those. FansEdge.com is ships free, and Fanatics.com is free ship. Both of those are listed on the website for free shipping. They also have a 365-day return policy on anything. And they don't just have apparel and sweatshirts and shirts and jerseys. They have coffee mugs, alarm clocks, license plates. They have every tchotchke and nook and cranny of the world that you could want sports logos on. So go to Fanatics.com and FansEdge.com. But please click through our website, Coach's Decision, KSCO.com. Thank you. Also, some love to Ken Keegan, a good friend of mine and a wonderful sponsor of ours. The Mets are going to make the playoffs, as we say every week, but it's really becoming more true by the moment. You can go and see Ken's art on artwanted.com and search his name, Ken Keegan. That's KEN. KEEGAN on artwanted.com. He's got a bunch of paintings up. You can go and buy a print, buy a t-shirt, buy a coffee mug, buy anything you like. He's got some really nice stuff. That's artwanted.com. Ken Keegan, KEEGAN. Okay, it's time to talk a little baseball with our friend Daniel Zarchi. We're going to keep this kind of brief because we need to get to our NFL pick segment. How you doing, Danny?
The Giants are still in this thing.
The Giants are still in this thing. 12 games to play, 6 games back. How possible is this?
This is hard to believe it would happen, but crazier things have happened.
That's what I said. That's what I put in the show notes for this segment. Crazier things have happened, and Lord, I hope they do.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing that Giants fans are looking forward to is that they have a 4-game series at home against the Dodgers coming up.
Don't you wish that was like an 8-game series or like a 12-game series?
Well, the Giants are 9-6 against the Dodgers this year, so they're doing pretty well. They've done pretty well against the Padres and the Dodgers, and then horribly against the rest of the NL West. But it really does feel like if the Giants can pick up a game or two between now and then weird things happen.
Yeah, let's run through some scenarios real quick. So, 6 games in 12 is not going to be that easy. The Rockies are pretty bad. The Padres are playing pretty bad. And the Dodgers themselves are playing bad. Zach Greinke missed his start today. If he has to miss another start, this is getting more and more in play. And we're also playing the A's, who are playing pretty terribly right now. So this is actually setting up kind of nicely for how terrible it looked about a month ago. Are you excited for the Tim Hudson-Barry Zito matchup on Saturday?
I am, and I like that we've been able to spin it as a nostalgia thing when really it just gives us a better chance of winning that game.
It's a nostalgia thing. It's also going to be a critical game in the race. It's so crazy. The A's are in last place. They can throw out, Joe Schmo, Mark Mulder, Joe Blanton. They can throw whoever they want. But we're going to counter with Tim Hudson and one of his final starts in Major League Baseball. And Barry Zito in probably one of his final starts. He hasn't even pitched since 2013. So do you find it hard?
He hasn't started in the majors.
Yeah. Do you find it hard not to root for Barry Zito at this point? Because I know you're an A's and a Giants fan.
Well, at this point, it's safe to say I'm significantly more of a Giants fan. But, you have to root for Barry Zito. He gutted out the whole season in the minors. There were several points where it looked like he wasn't being called up, where Bob Melvin said we're not calling him up, or Billy Beane said it. And he doesn't need the money, obviously. He just kind of wanted to keep playing baseball, and you have to respect that. And even in his years on the Giants when he wasn't playing all that well, he was still a fan favorite. He was still somebody who had the respect of the fans and of the teammates for working really hard. For 2010 when they left him off the playoff roster, he still traveled with the team. He still kept himself in good shape.
And 2012 with that Rally Zito. I mean, that's a memorable Giants moment in history.
Yeah, Game 5 redeems the whole contract. It's
I'm glad
seems
you
weird
think
to
that.
say, but why not? Two starts in the playoffs?
Because it doesn't matter at all. We could have won in 2010 and 2014 and not won in 2012, and we'd still be sitting in the same spot right now, but, the Giants execs would be a little bit richer. Let's transition to the 49ers real quick. I know you didn't enjoy that blowout loss to Pittsburgh. Were you inspired by how Kaepernick and the team played in the fourth quarter, or do you pencil that in as garbage time?
I mean, you have to take everything with a little bit of garbage salt.
Garbage salt? Daniel's Archie, from kosher salt to garbage salt.
Well, if you look at how Kaepernick played in that game, he was not the problem. I mean, I think that's safe to say. Hyde got hurt, so you kind of erase that start for him too. But there were a lot of really good plays that Kaepernick made that people dropped. There were a lot of really horrible drops for first downs, drops for touchdowns. Bruce Miller dropped a ball in the end zone.
Yeah, that was very uncharacteristic for Bruce Miller. He's pretty sure-handed out there.
Yeah, and if you buy the hype from the offseason that he was working with Kurt Warner, that he was learning to be more of a pocket passer and, read his progressions, it does seem like that's
Kurt Warner doesn't even know how Kurt Warner became a good pocket passer. That guy was playing for the Iowa Barnstormers at one point. He was bagging groceries on the side, so I don't know if that's going to help at all. All right, one last thing. I really don't want to talk about the Yogi-isms or the things he was known to have said, because I want to focus on the actual career of Yogi Berra. I'm going to read you some numbers that I put together this morning. As a player, coach, and manager, 13 championships, 21 World Series appearances. He made the All-Star team 15 of his 19 seasons in Major League Baseball, or at least for the Yankees. He was a 3-time MVP, and he has to go down as one of the best catchers ever.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Hall of Famer, and after the Giants won the World Series and they took the trophy on tour, particularly in New York, to visit some of the old Giants haunts. There were
because those people are alive.
Well, there were, some of the best things were Buster walking around with Willie Mays, other old Giants, but also he met with Yogi Berra, and I saw a clip today of them talking, looking in the Hall of Fame. I think it was in Cooperstown. It might have been in Yankee Stadium, but Yogi was pointing out some of his old equipment that he'd worn during one of the no-hitters he'd caught.
Which is basically futon stuffing and some chicken wire as a mask.
Yeah, and Yogi at times said, well, I always liked having an old glove, which at that point probably meant a glove from the Ice Ages. But,
old glove, no old love, Yogi.
It's nice to see one of the greatest catchers of all time talking with one of the best in the game today, if not the best. And it's nice to see people talking shop and see all that kind of transcend generations.
Okay,
so,
all right.
He was an amazing talent. He had an amazing life, and as one of my friends on Twitter said, it's not like his life ended; it's like it finished, because he had a really good life.
Friends on Twitter. Well, R.I.P. Yogi Berra. You were 90 years old. You were always around baseball. Everybody who talked to you loved you. Somehow you stayed married all those years to your wonderful wife. So good luck to her, and prayers and hopes and thoughts to the family that they get through this with a smile, because that's probably what Yogi would have wanted. All right, Danny, stay on the line. We're going to do some more ads, and then we're going to jump into our NFL picks. Thanks, buddy.
Great.
All right, we're going to talk about 99 Bottles, located in downtown Santa Cruz. It's a premier dining location. It's located on Walnut Street between Pacific and Cedar. One of my favorite places to go for a beer, a hard drink, or a nice hearty meal. They have fries, they have sandwiches, they have everything you could imagine, from pub food all the way up to steak and potatoes and all of that stuff. Lots of different options for seating. They've got a patio for dogs, they've got an upstairs location, and almost from everywhere in the restaurant you can see a TV and watch your beloved sports team. They play the Giants and the A's, the Warriors, the 49ers, the Raiders, all your local teams. If you're into a more obscure sport, they'll put it on. Head down to 99 Bottles on Walnut between Pacific and Cedar in downtown Santa Cruz. Okay, it's time for our NFL pick segment, which I've been trying to avoid, but we have to do it. I got absolutely destroyed, and I am in last place in this league so far. Producer Tory, can you give us the rankings real quick?
You are at the very bottom.
I didn't say start there. I said give us the rankings.
I'm going to save the best for last. So
okay.
You're at 4 wins, 6 losses. I'm at 5 wins, 5 losses.
I have a tie.
We all have a tie.
Yeah, but I just want my tie to be mentioned. That's all. I'll take any non-loss.
You're
right
4,
now.
6, and 1. Is that better?
Thank you.
All right. So I'm at 5 wins, 5 losses. Danny's at 6 wins.
You're talking
4 losses.
smack, and you're right at 500.
Woohoo.
I talk no smack.
I'm 1 game behind you, Danny. You're not even on this show. You've never even been to this studio.
And let's talk about the champion so far. Joaquin, 7 wins, 3 losses.
It's so far.
Danny's coming for your throne, though. I think he's been doing his research this week.
Danny's putting in the time, but just remember, if you're betting with Danny or Joaquin, you're making money.
You're making money.
You guys are going to start a cabal. You guys are going to start picking the same games every week, so you guys finish 1 and 2. Let's say our segment is sponsored by Woodstock's Pizza. Locations all across California. Woodstock's Pizza has the NFL Sunday Ticket. They show every game. They'll show the local market game. They'll put on any random game you like. They got plenty of TVs. They've got beer. They've got pizza. In Santa Cruz, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, San Diego, Chico, and Davis. We love Woodstock's Pizza. It's delicious pizza, great beer. I'm really excited when we get the Mosaic IPA from Mother Earth Brewing back on tap. I'm excited to drink that again. Once again, Woodstock's Pizza sponsors our NFL pick segment. Go watch football games down there. They have the Sunday Ticket. Okay, we've got some games to pick. We're going to start with Thursday night's prime time game. The Giants take on the Redskins in MetLife Stadium. The Giants are the home team. Let's start with our clubhouse leader.
All right.
Our winners so far, Joaquin Nagel. What's your pick?
So the Giants are favored here.
What's the spread?
3.5 points.
That's what I thought.
And they shouldn't give points to anyone. So I'm taking Washington.
You're going to take the Washington professional football team.
I am.
Okay. Who's in second place? Zarchi? Daniel?
I am taking the Washington professional football team as well. I think there's a chance Eli doesn't blow this one in the fourth quarter once again.
Wow, so you're telling me there's a chance.
But he doesn't win by enough to beat the spread, so I'm taking Washington.
Okay, Victoria?
I can't betray Eli ever again. I have to pick the Giants.
You picked against him in, what was it, week 1?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't pan out for you. So you're taking the Giants. This was a tough one for me. The Redskins looked pretty good last week against the Dolphins, and the G-Men blew another double-digit lead to lose in the waning moments. Awful. But Eli is 16-6 against Washington in his career, including 9-2 at home. 9-2. Give me the Giants. They're going to win at home, get off the schneid, and start cruising towards the top of that division because it's not hard.
They're going to win by 2.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Oh, I think the Giants win this game. I just think it's close.
I know you do, Danny. No one asked you. All right. Next game, Sunday night. The Denver Broncos. Peyton Manning in primetime again.
Mm-hmm.
Denver Broncos take on the Detroit Lions. The spread is 3.5. Danny.
See, can I hedge based on whether or not Kubiak will recognize the error of his ways?
What is that? Oh, you mean throw Peyton in the shotgun more often?
I'm taking Broncos minus 3.5. I think Kubiak is going to realize he's committed criminal malpractice here by putting Peyton in a scheme that's...
You're not a lawyer yet, Danny. Calm down. Criminal malpractice. I like how you're practicing.
I think this game is more like the fourth quarter than the first 3 quarters. I think Peyton throws out of the shotgun more. Everything comes together, and they win by a touchdown.
Okay, Tori?
Both Stafford and Peyton have been taking some beatings, but I believe in Peyton staying power just a little little bit more, so I'm going to go with Broncos.
Taking a beating is called getting Stafforded. He hangs in the pocket way too long. He also, Bill Barnwell wrote a couple years ago about how many sacks he took that knocked his team out of field goal range. It was called pulling a Stafford. I wanted to take the Lions in this one because the Broncos have showed some weakness, but I'm going to take the Broncos. Peyton's had extra days to rest and prepare because Denver played last Thursday, so they've had lots of extra time, and it's a night game. He's pretty money in those night games. The Lions haven't shown any defense this season, and Denver has shown enough to make this game not close. Joaquin.
I didn't believe in Peyton last week on a short week, but I do believe him on the long week. In the extra rest. I'm taking
Lock
Denver.
It in. Did anyone take the Lions?
No.
I almost did it. All right, our Monday night game. Another team who has a second game in primetime. The Kansas City Chiefs take on another team that's already played in primetime. I'm sensing a trend this season. Chiefs versus the Packers. It's +7. Let's start with Tory.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Aaron Rodgers doesn't lose at home.
You're saying God's going to be a Packers fan next Monday night.
Yeah.
He'll be nice and rested from Sunday. It'll be wonderful. Okay, Joaquin?
I'm going to ride with Aaron Rodgers until he doesn't cover.
You're going to just hope he goes 16-0 against the spread this season?
Hey, if he keeps doing it.
Okay. I'm going to take the Chiefs in this one, and I have some reasons, I promise, once I find my sheet here. I'm kind of in love with both of these teams. I think the Packers and the Chiefs are both going to finish as playoff teams and as consistent teams. I think that's really important. Aaron Rodgers has thrown 0 interceptions at Lambeau since 2012, and that's ridiculous. But Kansas City got a real bad rap for fumbling away that Denver game. They're going to be one of the most consistent teams, like I said. Travis Kelce being healthy has been really clutch for the Chiefs. I think it keeps them in the game. I think they lose by 3 or 4, but I'm going to take the 7 points.
I just don't see Alex Smith being able to ever lead an offense when playing from behind.
But here's the thing. He doesn't have to light it up. They just have to score points.
Yeah, but they have to stay in the game.
Yeah, but
sorry. Zarchi.
Zarchi, go ahead.
I think I'm going to make a bold call here and say that perhaps Aaron Rodgers should have gone higher than Alex Smith in the draft.
Wow, very good. That's some armchair quarterback from you. Just a Monday morning quarterback.
So I'm taking Aaron Rodgers -7. I think this game isn't close.
Am I the only one who took the Chiefs?
Yeah.
All right, gaining ground.
Getting back in it.
Gaining ground.
300 yards and 5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns? He must be on your fantasy team. Danny's the most optimistic fantasy player. Yeah, I've heard him say things like, well, if Ty Detmer gets me 7 touchdowns, I'm going to win this week. As he pushes his glasses that he doesn't wear up his nose. Wild card time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start.
Okay.
Because I haven't gone yet. My first wild card, I'm going to do the same thing you're doing with the Packers, but with the Patriots.
Okay.
Patriots -14 over the Jaguars.
That's a big spread.
You can't make this spread high enough. I do not believe in Blake Bortles. I have no idea how they would cover this game. If they did, it would be a backdoor cover on a late touchdown, and I'm willing to take the chance. Tom Brady wins by 4 touchdowns. He doesn't throw 4 touchdowns, but he wins by 4 touchdowns. I have a feeling this is the game they have a running back go off for like 260 yards and 3 scores, a la Jonas Gray or whatever happened. Joaquin?
All right, first up, I got the Chargers with getting 2.5 points over the Vikings.
I read that as it's an analytics pick. It's a contrarian pick because everyone's taking the Vikings -2.5. So I read a piece on that today. Very good.
All right.
Very nice pick. Danny?
I'm taking Bills +3 against the Dolphins.
You're back in on the Bills?
I think the Bills are better than we think. I think the Dolphins are worse than we think. So I think the Bills win this one outright.
Okay, I think you're on recency bias in that one for the Dolphins. I don't think they're as bad as they played against Washington. Washington's defense is really good, but I still see what you're doing there, Danny. All right, Victoria?
I took Falcons versus Cowboys. No Dez, no Romo, no win. I'm going with the Falcons.
What's the spread in that one?
2.5 to Dallas.
Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. Julio Jones will have to have a big game.
Well, the Falcons can put up points, as we saw last week.
They can. Brandon Weeden. Yeah, I might actually jump on that for a real life bet. That sounds tasty. All right, my second pick, and I can't believe I'm doing this because I love betting against them. I'm taking the 49ers +7 against the Cardinals. The Cardinals are getting Super Bowl hype, and they're 2-0, which means time to come back down to earth.
You don't believe in Carson Palmer?
I absolutely believe in Carson Palmer. I don't believe that they win this. This is a physical, tough divisional matchup. It's going to be a close game. Give me the 49ers to rebound. I know it's in Arizona, but I'm doing it anyway. Danny, you have to support me, right?
No, because the Cardinals don't start losing until they're 4-0. I think we've learned that.
Support me emotionally, Danny. I didn't want you to pick the Niners. I just wanted someone on my side. Okay, no one's going to be on my team, and I'm going to finish in last place. It's my show. This was my show. It used
I
to be.
appreciate the support there, Tom.
Danny, what's your
I'm not
second
taking
pick?
it.
What's your second pick?
My second pick is Jets minus 2.5 against the Eagles.
Oh, I like that one.
Really? I couldn't
I think
touch
the
that
Jets. I think the Jets defense is probably the best in the league. Their front seven are going to eat the Eagles alive, so the Eagles are not going to be able to run this game. But the Jets secondary isn't bad either, and I'm saying Fitzpatrick is a better quarterback than Sam Bradford. So I think the Jets win this by more than a touchdown.
I think the Jets defense is immense. I'm with you there.
All right, they did force four or five Andrew Luck 5 overall turnovers, 4 by Andrew Luck on Monday night, holding him to 7 points.
Indeed.
My goodness, the Colts are in trouble. What's up?
Thomas, what do you think about my bold call? If you could start your franchise with terrible choices, but Sam Bradford or Ryan Fitzpatrick, who do you go with?
Sam Bradford, upside.
Oh, you don't go with the smart guy?
Oh, he went to Harvard. Yeah, George W. Bush went to Yale.
Oh,
me
Fitzpatrick
surprised.
went to Harvard.
No, I'll still take Sam Bradford.
Okay. All right. My second wild card pick, I got the Bucks getting points playing the Texans.
You're shameless for Jameis?
I am out on the Texans.
You and a lot of people.
I think they're...
Including most of the Texans.
Yeah.
All right.
The Texans are favored by 6 points over the Bucks, and I'm more than happy to take anyone who's getting points against the Texans.
I've never been more than happy. I've been happy a couple of times.
I'd say elated.
Danny,
that line might be based on the thought that Arian Foster was going to come back, but now it's looking like he probably won't. So
Exactly.
If you got the points at the time, then you're sitting pretty today.
All right, Victoria.
Last pick, Raiders versus Browns. I have slightly more faith in Carr and my boy Amari than I do the entire Cleveland Browns. So I'm going with the Raiders.
Yeah.
Who are
Josh McCown's back though. No Johnny Football. No one's got Johnny Football to kick around anymore, except for Mike Pettin, who kicked him to the bench.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that
It's going
pick?
to be a 2 McCown weekend.
Is it? Who's the other McCown? Luke McCown starting for someone?
Well, if Breeze is out, yeah.
Oh, no, Breeze is going to play. Don't worry about that. But, yeah, I've seen Luke McCown's commercial recently for something or other.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe he had a commercial. Okay, we're going to move on, Danny. Thank you for coming on. Repeat your picks one more time,
do I
your
get
wild
my
card
second
picks.
wild card?
Yeah, get your second wild card out
second
there.
wild card?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm jumping on board Falcons minus 2.5. I think the Falcons are good. I think their defense is not terrible. I think the Cowboys could have lost Romo or Dez, but not both.
Danny, you almost talked fast just then. That was great. We're going to let you go, my friend. Thank you for coming on. We're going to review your picks next week. You can go onto our site and look at the picks. Tori's going to post them. Please go on there, click through our sponsors, and get us some cool sponsorship dough. All right, Danny, we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
All right, Danny's gone. Whew, what a guy. I love that guy. We got a couple more stories to blow through, and then we'll bring producer Tory back for her Tory topics. Let's talk about 5 goals.
5 goals.
By one pole.
By one pole in 9 minutes of game time.
He didn't hit any of the poles.
No, he did.
Though.
He hit the post once.
He hit the pole? Okay.
On the build up to the third goal.
The pole goal
Pole
action.
on pole action.
Pole goal action. That's too much for me. What is his name? Robert?
Lewandowski.
I heard on the broadcast Lewandowski.
It's spelled with a W. You can pronounce it how you want.
Okay. I choose the V.
Okay.
Why is it called a W? It looks like a double V.
W?
Yeah. Why does it?
Because we speak English and no one knows why English works the way it does.
I guess it depends on the font, right? Okay, we're getting way too into the minutia.
No, we're just getting away from the sport that you really don't want to talk about.
I don't want to talk.
You don't want to talk about it at all. You were. I could tell it pained you to write his name on the show notes.
It pains anyone to write a Polish last name on a piece of paper. What's something long and hard that a Polish man gives to his wife? His last name. That's the old joke. Give me the context for this. I know Bayern Munich is the best team in their league.
In the
Bundesliga.
Yes.
See, I know some stuff.
Okay.
Liga means league, and Bundes means league I don't care about. They're playing against Wolfsburg.
Yes, who finished second last year.
Which on morning radio I called them the Wolf, because
the
that's
Wolf.
not their nickname. I don't know what is.
I'm not sure that they have a nickname.
They're the Wolf.
Okay,
From now on.
the Wolf.
So the Wolf finished second, so they're good.
Well, yes, but they also sold their best player to Manchester City.
You can sell players?
Yes, players go from team to team based on a transfer fee that is paid to the team, and then they sign a new contract at the team at which they arrive.
So can I buy Lewandowski?
Yeah, but you have to also guarantee that you'll give him a raise. He's probably on 150,000 euros a week. at Bayern.
That's the highest paid Polish person in history.
Indeed.
My mom's going to paddle my dupa when I get home. That's Polish for butt.
Uh-huh.
She told me that growing up. She had a Polish grandmother. Okay, so what's the context of this 5 goals? I know it was the 5 fastest goals, and he came in at halftime. Why was he not playing to start the game?
Because you have to rotate your squad, and they have lots of games in a short period, and Guardiola didn't have him starting, but he subbed him in at halftime to sort of change the shape of the team, and it worked out in their favor.
Which goal was the most impressive?
5. Goal number 5 is amazing.
That was like the side dive kick? What do you call it?
Yeah, the scissor kick.
Scissor kick.
That's Mario Götze crosses it into the box, and Lam scissor kicks it home.
That's nice.
It was wonderful.
That's nice. Can this be replicated? There's the best goal scorers on the planet. We know guys like Cristiano Ronaldo,
Messi, and Ronaldo. But a few things. No penalty goal. So he didn't step up to finish something that someone else drew a penalty for. They're all goals from open play. I can't see this being replicated.
It seems like the only person that could do it might be Carly Lloyd on the women's side.
Probably.
She's on fuego.
Yeah, but really when it comes down to it, it just shows that how dominant Bayern is. And it was really important because every goal is going to matter for them. Them and Borussia Dortmund are rolling through the Bundesliga, and it could easily come down to goal difference at the end of the season.
That sounds like a Pitbull song, rolling through the Bundesliga. I like it. All right, we're going to move on. Santa Clara City Council is considering cutting off alcohol sales at halftime at 49ers games. Is this important, and B, will this happen?
Answer to is this important? Sure. But really the question is, why isn't there better public transportation for getting to Levi Stadium?
Because it's in Santa Clara, which until about 5 years ago was nowhere.
So why didn't they upgrade the infrastructure when building this amazingly expensive stadium?
Because it's even more amazingly expensive to try to up the infrastructure. Now, I've been there. I went to the T Swift concert there about a month ago.
We all know Thomas.
I haven't stopped talking about it since. But, you have to park there. There's not a whole lot of places to tailgate either. And this is the thing the NFL teams have tried to do. They make tailgating start later so people get less drunk before the game, so they get less drunk during the game, so they're able to drive home and or walk through the parking lot like civilized adults and not kick the crap out of someone because they're wearing a different jersey than you are and happen to say something stupid, which is what happened outside Levi's. A Minnesota Vikings fan got the crap kicked out of him by 4 49er fans, including females.
Yes.
This is not even a bro machismo thing. It is, but it isn't. Everyone's getting involved in this. And you can say it's alcohol motivated. It might just be, douchebag related. But I don't think cutting off the sales at halftime is going to do anything.
I really don't see it making that big of a difference, but it's a show that they're trying to do something to the public because it's really a city issue.
Well, it is a city issue. And I mean, baseball, you cut them off after the 7th inning, hoping people can sober up and have clear heads on the way home. But we're all adults. Bars don't have to stop serving at 9 p.m. to make sure by midnight everybody can drive home. Why do people act so irrationally just because they're at a sporting event?
It's because they've booked their whole day to do this, and so they just don't care.
It just doesn't make much sense to me. I have been absolutely obliterated at a Giants game. And guess what? Hopped on public transportation, and, it ended up in Richmond, where I wasn't even supposed to be. But, it was a good time. It was safe. My bar conductor was sober.
There you go.
That's all that mattered. Daniel Zarchi wasn't sober. But,
that's all you need.
We made it back.
You made it to where you were gonna not intentionally go.
I have a long story to tell you about the 2012 World Series parade that also ends in Richmond, California at some point. But let's move on.
Like the Richmond, the inner Richmond, the outer Richmond, or across the bay?
Who knows, man?
Well, maybe we'll never know.
I will never know. I was in a state of mind I don't think I can ever re-enter. Great states of mind from Michigan State. My boys moved up to number 2 in the college football rankings. Alabama loses to Ole Miss, drops down to number 12. This is the first time Bama has been out of the top 10 since I think 2010 or 2011. Which is more impressive? Ole Miss's win over Alabama or 2 Big Ten teams at 1-2 in the AP poll right now?
I'm going to say that Alabama losing to another ranked opponent is that's not out of this world. It's just something that could happen. And Ole Miss, everyone thought they were going to be in the top 25 going into the season. Everyone knows that the SEC schedule is a grind, and they just happened to lose. It was a crazy game, lots of points, up and down, lots of turnovers. And so I would say that it's more impressive for Michigan State to be number 2.
And I've got this game circled on my calendar, November 21st. Ohio State, Michigan State. A lot of things can happen between now and then. Ohio State hasn't really settled on a quarterback, it seems. They're going to start Cardale Jones again this week, but it's still up in the air.
They certainly don't have a system that requires them to settle on a quarterback.
Yeah, Urban Meyer could step back there for a few plays and no one would probably notice. I'm looking forward to that game. I hope that the quarterback situation stays erratic in Ohio State so Michigan State can be that consistent team to beat them. And there's a lot of computer simulations saying right now that Michigan State should be the number 1 team, which I'm not going to agree with because that's how you get beat.
They could easily both make the playoffs.
Yes.
It feels so good to say playoffs. College football playoffs.
I wish it was 8 teams. I'll say that every single time this comes up. It should be 8 teams.
At least it's not just 2.
2 quick takes from you. Anthony Bennett's buyout. Good for the team. Good for Anthony Bennett. Good for basketball.
A sad state of affairs. It's just a poor draft class. Like the 2 best players that went in the 2013 draft are Giannis and Gobert. And they were both Jan God. They were both taken in the second round, and then you have Oladipo and Nerlens Noel are the other 2 best players in the lottery.
I thought Oladipo should have been the number 1 pick.
He probably should have been the number 1 pick, but Anthony Bennett, because he's being bought out during his rookie contract, is probably going to go down as the biggest number 1 bust in history.
Bigger than Darko?
Yeah. Well, he was number 2.
Oh, close enough.
Yeah, but bigger than...
LeBron was always number 1. Darko might as well have been number 1 as well.
But Darko stayed in the league.
That's true. You don't think Bennett can stay in the league?
I don't know that Bennett's going to stay in the league. Okay. And so Darko stays in the league for a while. Olin Kandi stays in the league for a while. Even Kwame Brown played for 10 years.
With those tiny hands.
Yeah.
I can relate, Kwame.
But all of that being said, I just think that the opportunity cost for Cleveland to pick someone who they thought could be good wasn't super high in 2013. It's not going to go down as like they should have picked this other guy, obviously, but being bought out on his rookie contract, being bought out for $3.6 million on a $5.8 million salary, that's sad.
We missed out on 3 number 1 picks all playing together in Minnesota too.
That's true.
That would have been fantastic. One more quick take. I don't even want more than a couple words. Gun to your head. Who wins the WNBA Finals?
Who's in it? Liberty.
Give me the New York Liberty or give me the New York Death. I'm going with the Liberty as well. They're playing the Mystics, and then something's happening in the Western Conference. The Minnesota Lynx are the favorites in the West. I don't remember who they're playing, but we'll both go with the Liberty. If they win, we'll have them on the show. They'll be available. All right, time for Tory Topics, where producer Tory comes on and gives us the lighter side of sports, sometimes the heavier side. Yeah, she has her light days and her heavy days. Tory, what do you got for us today?
Gross.
I can't help myself.
Gross.
I wish I think these things out in advance. No, I don't do that. That's the problem.
You wish you could stop yourself from saying them.
I don't actually.
Keeps a little notebook of all of his burns.
I don't even have I can't even read my notes because I don't have my glasses on right now. I'm the oldest man on the planet.
So anyway, Seahawks fans have started a GoFundMe campaign to break up Russell Wilson and Kiara so that the team can play better.
Go fund yourselves, Seahawks. How about that? How about you guys just go fund yourselves?
He's playing fine. I think it's just garbage.
This reminds me of the Tony Romo, Jessica Simpson thing where he was the new Dallas Cowboys quarterback who was a hot shot.
And she was Jessica Simpson.
Oh, man, she was so beautiful back then. But the camera was focusing so much on her during the game and focusing on Romo going on little vacations throughout the week.
I miss her. Now all the camera does is show Jerry Jones up in the box.
I know. And Jerry Jones' son-in-law wiping his sunglasses clean so he can see.
Exactly.
What a son-in-law to be. Yeah, we miss Jessica. Russell Wilson, call Jessica Simpson. Is she available?
Stay with Ciara.
Stay with Ciara?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. I wanted to call Ciara. That was why. Jessica's not. I don't like blondes. So.
Is it chicken or is it fish?
It's tuna, honey.
So the Cubs got a little wild before their game with the Brewers. In an event with the Columbus Zoo and Shedd Aquarium, Wrigley Field was taken over by adorable animals. Guests included a snow leopard that hung out with Rizzo, and a pink flamingo, and a sloth named Chewbacca.
That's pretty much all he does, I guess, is chew. So that's a pretty good name.
Man, sloths are just the best.
Oh, they're the best?
Yeah, they're so great.
They're so cute.
They fit in with baseball players. They don't do anything all day.
Oh, especially in the American League. They're the DHs of the animal kingdom.
Yes, the DHs of the animal kingdom.
Okay, that's great. Also, didn't you see AC/DC played at Wrigley and apparently destroyed the field? Joe Madden, the Cubs manager, was pissed. Taylor Swift did no such thing to Levi's.
Of course not.
Levi's was already destroyed.
Speaking of Taylor Swift, did you see that Ryan Adams covered the entire album 1989?
Yes, I saw that, and I also saw that she tried to send him a copy. She's like, "Hey, I've got a copy of the CD for you." He's like, "I don't need that. That's fine."
Oh, he did it of his own. It wasn't a stunt or anything. He just had time off from touring and already had his album in the can and decided he liked the music and he wanted to play the songs.
But he never wants to hear the album ever again.
1989?
His own version.
Oh, no, he doesn't need... No, he's going to listen to T-Swift's version.
It's so weird. Why would you create an album and then not listen to it?
For funsies.
Just to play music. He likes playing music.
Is that why we do this show?
It's
Just to hear ourselves talk? I'll never listen to this again.
Oh, God.
Especially now I made a period joke. Jesus, Todd.
You don't have to say what you did. We all know.
Well, he just loves to hear himself talk.
Tory, next story.
The NBA announces that the finals will feature more days between games.
This is good.
Yes.
Especially on... And they say at least 2 days for when teams have to travel.
So I don't drink during sporting events very often.
Yes.
I like to stay razor sharp. I like to focus.
You keep your notepad out?
I like to... My little tiny notebook, yes. All right, bleeding this much this day. No.
Oh, God.
I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. It's only a few minutes left in the show. Nobody's listening. I don't like to drink during sporting events. I stay focused. But during the Warriors' recent finals appearance, so much drinking. I could have used a couple extra. I could have used a couple travel days.
A travel day,
just
a recovery
to recover.
day.
So I could travel, back and forth to the sink to get another glass of water, or travel to your local pizzeria, Woodstock's Pizza, maybe, to grab a hangover slice or two. I like it just for the competitive standpoint. You don't want to see tired players in the NBA Finals.
I mean, I think it downplays. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's really great, and I think this is just working towards like what we're seeing in the NBA in general, where teams are resting players, teams are doing a better job of tracking how their players are doing throughout the season, and just being smarter about keeping guys healthy.
All right, if this were a hockey match, this would be the third period of our show. Victoria,
More
close
periods.
out the third period.
Always.
All right, so J.J. Watt can't get a girlfriend.
His flow got interrupted. Stop throwing things at me. He just broke up with the tennis player.
He says that he's having trouble because his schedule is too busy. The only people that he can
He's just a very serious man.
He hugs a lot of quarterbacks though. He has a lot of eye-to-eye and face-to-face contact with quarterbacks. So I'm starting to...
It's not for lack of trying. It's just, it's really tough for him.